8 shows as we head into Pesach, into the Passover holiday. We are 4 nights away from the Seder here on the 11th day of Nisan and March 23rd. And we have in studio, we are honored to have in studio the legendary Shloime Ash. Shloime!
Well, I heard legendary, and you were honored to have somebody. I figured it was somebody else here too. So, wow.
Oh my gosh. So, for those of you out there that don't know who Shloime Ash is, which is impossible because if you've been involved with Jewish music and at all,
Modern dance, the ballet, clog dancing in Ireland,
That's right.
special operations out of certain parts of the Pentagon I can't go into. Yes, that's me.
We have a shout out from Judy Hertzfelder, associate producer from Clifton, New Jersey, saying hello, saying the sound is good. The sound is good.
Tell Judy I'm going to be there on Thursday to pick up my Pesach stuff from Smokey Joe.
All right, Smokey Joe. We're getting a plug in for Smokey Joe.
No, we haven't started with the plugs, Leonard. The homework is closed. I don't care.
Wait, we're going to talk about the homework. We're going to talk. Wait. All right. So the first thing is that Shloime and I like to think of our generation of musicians. We all grew up in parallel universes. Shloime in Brooklyn, myself in Queens. There was Bobby Shubowitz. There was Shmuel Wasserman, Oliver Shalom, Jonathan Rimberg, Jordan Hirsch
in Muncie,
and Mark Infield in Fairlawn.
In Fairlawn. And Remy Jonathan also in Fairlawn.
That's right. And Avrami Weisberger in Brooklyn.
Flatbush, Borough Park, yeah.
So all of us grew up separately.
Get together.
But we were together. We came into the business at the same time pretty much. And it was one of the most interesting things because it really didn't happen again for another like 25 years when groups of, when another generation of musicians came in, the Simcha Liners of the world and the...
but Lenny, the generation that started, I guess, with the NCSY bands and Ruach Revival and Teruach into Kesher, that generation hasn't come, of a group, that's kind of morphed into the solo guys. But, what you did with Kesher was the last of that generation.
I never even thought about that we were the last of the generation. I thought we were just another Jewish rock and roll band or Hasidic band and touring. But you're right, we were.
You were and you took it out with a bang. And the fact that from there you morphed into Kesher and everything, the fact that from there you morphed into Shlock Rock and Amuna and all that other stuff, that went to the strength of what you had going before. I am just going to put this out there before we go on the tangent. It's 3 days before Pesach. There's a reason I can't say no to Lenny Solomon. Well, I can, but I just hate myself more than I do. Lenny's my hero. I want everyone out there to know that because he doesn't walk the walk. He talks the talk. When Shlock Rock started really taking off, and most people would hunker down and build it into the full monster potential, Lenny made Aliyah. And when I said, "What are you doing?" I'm in advertising. I'm the lowest form of life. I just look to merchandise everything, and here he is. He's building something that's reaching a critical mass, and most people would just be sitting at the table taking the cards from the dealer and chalking up wins. Lenny packed his bags and moved to Eretz Yisrael. I couldn't find a rhyming thing, but Lenny, yeah. I wanted you to grow up. Seriously, I want to get that out of the way early, and I'll bring it up again. When you got up and made Aliyah was when most people would be doubling down on here, so someday when they make Aliyah, they can go with every. Now you did it because you knew otherwise it wouldn't happen. And dude, I'm privileged to be on the same screen with you, most of the same screen. I'm also okay. Continue.
Thank you very much, but I want you to know that I actually think that moving to Israel.
I don't think right away we're different.
Lengthened Shlock Rock's career because right now we're in the 35th year. Now, obviously, we haven't really had many shows in the last couple of years with something known as Corona, but although I guess you could count these as shows. I mean,
excuse me. 2 years ago, when we saw you in Vacation Village, and we took what I like to call Shlock Rock 2.5, because Yal and I were Generation 1, Ari and Shmuley were 2. We were
Right.
1.5. Ari and Shmuley were 2, and their kids, JD, Joseph, and Max were 2.5. They were up, they were up on that stage. The same and flashbacks to to 1987 in Arizona and Palm Springs. The only thing
Right.
that changed is we had less hair and larger pants, but they were having the same blast that Ari and my grandkids were having the same blast my kids did 20 some odd years ago. That kind of koyach don't sell short.
Well, thank you very much. And I want you to know now. Let's first thing is Mike Roth is chiming in saying hello.
Hi, Mike.
Mike.
Nice shirt. Now he's looking.
Anyway, so let's start off by how did you get into the music business before we get into advertising, before we get into our Pesach programs?
I sucked at sports. And Medina, across the street from my parents, was the Leshkowitzes lived, Yossi Leshkowitz. And that's when we used to practice.
Oh.
And I used to go and watch. And one thing led to another. I took accordion lessons for 2 years, and I know what I learned after 2 years of accordion lessons?
What?
Never play it without a shirt on. It's not good. And whatever, it's like the also, in all honesty, the barrier for admission then was a lot different than it is today. Today it's the entry, what you need to get in there. You just had to want to have fun and do. I wasn't as technical as a lot of the guys are today. It was a different criteria back then because they were coming out of different sets. It was more about the energy and the vibe and the music, as opposed to an amazing level of skill.
We all were having a great time, though. We really were.
But we were coming from watching guys who were just pure klezmorim and pure, a lot of these guys couldn't even read, and they were showing up to gigs. Those were the guys who were our standards.
Right. But they
So-
were unbelievable, and they knew they knew 300
Right,
songs,
and-
3,000 songs,
right,
whatever
and-
key you wanted to play.
Jordan Hirsch a couple of years ago played a gig, and the Lambs and the Leshkowitzes got up on their horns, and and the level of musicality and hearts, hearts.
Right.
I don't know the Hebrew word for it is authenticity was off the charts. Were they perfectly tuned? Was it concerts? Probably not, but the level of authenticity of getting you up there in energy off the charts.
But you became a drummer, though. You became a drummer.
Yeah, I played. The only thing I ever studied was not to let my brain write checks my hands wouldn't cash. It was drums, it was advertising, and I really, I really realized I had, and I liked doing it. I had enough of a flair to do gigs, but I didn't want to get into a point in situations, so I just focused on not letting my brain write checks my hands wouldn't cash. I had some, over the years, people showed me stuff to keep me in my lane.
Did you ever see the movie?
Huh?
Did you ever see that movie Supermensch?
With the agent guy, with Adam Chandler.
He always said, as an agent, you have to remember 3 things. 1, remember to pick up the check. 2, don't forget to remember to pick up the check. And 3, something about the check. It was always about the check.
Right,
but it wasn't like that with us. It wasn't like that with me anyway. It was we.
Oh, I don't remember one time working with you, watching you, where there wasn't a smile on your face, like you can't believe, this is what I got to do.
So let's quickly tangent over to the record making business because
That's where we met.
That's right. Mid 80s, 84. I think I met you earlier.
I know Tzvi Pill from Yeshiva. That's how Tzvi Pill, who you knew from Dor Golding and Kesher, right?
Yes. Well, no, the way it worked was in 1974, 75, I was with Tzvi Pill in the same bunk. I played accordion and he played drums.
Right.
And we played at the Color War. We played Modeh Ani Lefanech.
Hondo Abramovitz, Mazel Tov.
That's right. He was at the camp.
Hondo Abramovitz arranged it.
Yes. So
the album, if you want it.
That was where we met, and then later on we connected again after Avi Feinberg brought me into NCSY.
Right.
And it was there that I reconnected with Tzvi and we formed Kesher. Now in '84, that's when we made our first album.
Right. So and Tzvi, I was working with Tuvia Ganzen, Tovart Design.
That's it. Tuvia Gans. There's a name I
Right.
haven't heard in a long
He
time.
Tuvia lives in California now. I speak to him like we exchange something or other once, twice a year. Baruch Hashem, he's still Tuvia,
Right.
but he was him and there's two album graphic designers that really left their mark in terms of covers. Him, Tovart Design, and Duck Engelart, who did DeVakis, that DeVakis iconic DeVakis artwork of the Chassid.
Yes.
Shlock Engelart, him and Tuvia. But Tuvia also, and I'm not just talking about Jewish stuff. Tuvia had one of the best odds and understandings of typography. You don't find that today. I learned more about the art of type watching, and helped me as a writer, watching him. And he created Kesher Judeo, which brings me to this book. This book is called, and you shall know us by the trail of our vinyl. And in this book is a lot of Tuvia Ganza stuff. Exhibit
Really?
A, take a look. Exhibit A, Kesher.
Wow. You have to lift it up so we could see it on the screen.
Sorry, you're right. Oh, that's probably a good idea. I'm a lot better. I'm on the Stevie Wonder station usually. Stuff like this doesn't matter. So Kesher.
Yeah.
And you have Ruach, which I think actually Yisrael Lamb did. And you have way before Mark III. But this whole book is an analysis of Jewish album covers from all genres. Now, what's interesting is Kesher doesn't only get covered in this book on covers, it even gets a write-up about, and I quote, hold on. Okay, I'm going to read this. I'll have to look at the writings. I didn't memorize it. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, here is it? Oh, here it is. Kesher replicate the birds peeking out from the shadows in their photo shoots for the release, warning in prankster style in their liner notes that the general surgeon has determined playing of this record on Shabbos or Yom Tov is dangerous to your spiritual health.
Right. The general surgeon. Right.
So they actually gave you a shout out. If you want to pick up the book, you can see it's like $4 on Amazon these days. You shall know by a trail of the vinyl. It has the Zim family on the cover. And inside,
and it's all Jewish records. It's all Jewish records.
But all genres. It has, it has everything from like Taris Klezmer, Rodney comedy with Alan Sherman, early Rodney Dangerfield, Chazanis.
Wow, Alan Sherman. Oh wow, that's very interesting. Now, tell me about what do you know about?
By the way, if you want, here's Tuvia Ganz's work.
Yes, that's my first album.
Right.
That's my first album.
And on the back, we put Lenny on trumpet.
Right.
Because silhouetting a trumpet with backlighting Joe Clementi's studio.
Right. You introduced us to Joe Clementi.
Right.
Who did
it was a lot easier to silhouette a trumpet than it was a keyboard, and we knew the type would go here, so we didn't want to fight the lighting, so we put you white trumpet because a guitar was out of the I don't know. We had you on trumpet.
We didn't have a guitar at the time, but Joe Clementi, I think, didn't he do Sergeant Schlocker's Magical History Tour?
I spoke to he says I speak to him like once a year, and again, if you want to talk about like the concept of branding, Kesher 2 kept the same logo as Kesher 1.
Yes, it was brilliant. It was really
the cover was a lot simpler. And moving on with this bombastic review because I really need a life, we have Kesher 3. Again, same logo.
Yes, similar, very similar, just
the
different
logo,
colors.
The cover, the art's different. The logo is the exact same, embossed, Roman Greco from whatever, But that was when stuff got this. There was a different level of design because you were working with a LP platform that was a lot bigger.
So okay, now I'm moving us along because time flies and we could do this for 3 hours.
Right.
I know we could do this for 3 hours. But I want you to tell me.
They like bananas. I'm sorry, what?
I want you to talk about. We're going to talk about Pesach now. Pesach is coming up, and for everybody out there,
our second Pesach
I went away for Pesach. The first time I ever went away.
Berkeley Carteret. Harbor Island Spa, you're right.
Harbor Island Spa. I think it was 1984, but I'm not sure.
It was 86. It was 86. Yal and I got married in 85. Our first pay was 86. And Mark Infield were our children.
Harbor Island Spa, and then after that, Palm Springs.
After that, after Ambassador Palm Springs, then Point Pesach with
Paul Lasser. That was the point in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. They had a deal with all the Point properties.
But I must tell you guys, everybody out there, you have never You have never understood the amount of food a person could eat until you go away for these Pesach programs. I know some of you have, but I want you to know that when I was in college, I would love going to Grossinger's. And why Grossinger's? Because my boys, we would go to Grossinger's, and they would have all you can eat. They would give you 7 main courses. Now, Grossinger's, of course, closed down, and you developed.
Oh, it did? I got to make a call. I'm sorry. Ooh,
you developed a very close reputation with the Homoac. And the Homoac became the number one.
I got sold with the Homoac twice. When I started there with Penny Davidman, I started there playing the lounge, and he found out I'm in advertising, so he started asking me to help him with that. Then I took over the advertising. Then when Gabi Batesh bought it, and Gabi's partner / manager was Marty Stigmeister, who I'm still in touch with. Marty actually just moved back there to Israel. Marty found out I also Jewish music stuff, so he had me starting to book the acts. And I started bringing in acts from the casting agents I was working with on commercials in my John Peasy, a lot of these guys who are big quote today in our market. I originally got them from casting guys, my commercial casting guys, and believe it or not, through the Friars Club. Up until about 5-6 years ago, I was the only person that ever had Suda Smith to the Friars Club. I made my brother's brothers there. I'm not, my brother.
I'm going to translate that. You had a Su'udat mitzvah. You had
a Jewish meal that's part of a religious ritual. That's not just dinner.
At the Friars Club?
At the New York Friars Club in the Milton Berle Room. No jokes.
Milty was not there, I presume.
No part of him was there. I think he had already gone to that big Friars Club in the sky.
Right.
And I was an unofficial member for a number of reasons because my boss, Shalom, whatever, and when it came time to making my brother Menachem a Sheva Brachas, he hooked me up with making it there. We had Freddie Roman stop by. We did a little roast. Yossi Piamenta was there, and we followed it by Myrick. We followed it by Myrick.
That is unbelievable. That's just an unbelievable.
I think the only legit Sudas mitzvah, Glock Kosher, Grand Deli, Jack Shelby, who has an amazing influencer thing going now. What's Jack eating? He still in the Grand Deli. He took care of the catering, but I was in touch with him until about 5, and the guy told me, "Okay, you're still the only one we have of that kind of Jewish thing." They have Jewish parties with kosher food. But a Sudas mitzvah, a ritual meal that's after a wedding, you have 7 nights of party meals. So one of those nights was that Sheva Brachas at the Friars Club. And by the way, Yossi Piamenta Shalom discovered Friar has a very different meaning in America than it does in Israel. A Friar
Mike Roth just wrote, gigs at the Homoac with Sam were the best. They were.
Mike was great, but I got to know Steve. And Steve is a panic. Steve was he was like...
That's Mike's father.
Right. He was Rabbi Steve now, I think. He was that generation before him, Stewie and Richie. I mean, they were they were the Passaic Jewish Music Mafia. And, they preceded our guys. But,
You have such a wealth of... This is a book. Shloime, this is... You have to write a book about this
knowledge.
stuff.
I have a need of a life. It's not the same thing.
Come on, you have free time. You have between 10 to 3 in the morning and 3:05.
Yeah, but if I'm not practicing my modern dance moves, then when things come back, Twyla Tharp, I know is going to call me. I just like saying Twyla Tharp. It's a cool name.
Yes. You of course had I don't want to say a relationship because that sounds weird, but you were acquainted with Wolfman Jack, Howard Stern.
Yes. Yeah.
In the early days of Howard Stern.
Howard, before he went satellite, though we did a project with him on Sirius a couple of years ago. Wolfman Jack was a guy, but he had a very good working knowledge of Yiddish, because as he told me, hey, I'm a Landslike man. He grew up somewhere in Brooklyn. He was like the local Shabbos guy. He wasn't a nice Jewish boy. He was very nice to the Jewish boys.
So he wasn't Jewish.
Wolfman Jack was not Jewish. The way he described it,
interesting.
He was, Wolfman. Part of his contract at the electronics show was he didn't walk anywhere. We had to have a golf cart waiting for him when the limo dropped him off. A golf cart had to take him to the brother booth. That's part. And as his agent told us, you don't understand. The Wolfman doesn't walk. And I thought in class to show him there was something wrong with him. No, there was something wrong with me for thinking he may walk.
Right.
So, by the way, Lenny, I see you have the logo that we did for you behind you.
That's right. We have both the Shlock Rock logo. You were involved with. You oversaw, or
With
you did
Gary
this,
Zero.
right?
Hmm.
Wait a minute. That who made that?
It was Gary Zero, I think.
It wasn't Bill Neptune.
No, I think Bill fine-tuned it. Originally, it was Gary.
Wow. Yes. So that's the same logo, which has stayed with us because it's so good. I
It's
can't change it.
because it's so good because thank God, God let me work. God lets me work with people way better than me, and people who understand. This is how you. If you got if somebody like you was building something, you wanted something that would build that would grow with you, not that you'd outgrow.
Now, what I'm going to do is, I want to show people one of your commercials that you produced was a. It was a. It's
The peacock?
unfortunately not. It's like I got it off the internet yesterday, searching for
Wait,
it.
what's the internet? That's the thing where you order kosher food, right? I just
But
I'm in Muncie. I'm in
you
Muncie.
wrote, directed, and produced.
I wrote it. I wrote it. I co-directed with a very patient guy named Cliff Fagan, who why he didn't hit me. I would have hit somebody acting as curious as I was. I'm telling you, and I've been very lucky over the years to work with people who who had a lot more patience with somebody like me than I would, and I learned a lot from them. That commercial taught me a lot about how to approach humor, and nuance. And if you'll see it, you'll understand. Hopefully, if not, then I'm gonna go cry.
All right. So this is the
This
one.
commercial got people to buy $100 alternative to a $10 Dymo machine. Just as a quick backstory, this was a Japanese product called the P-Touch. The Japanese were very, very hepped up on the fact it printed with labels that wouldn't fall off and wouldn't rub out because it was laminated. The Japanese are into technology. We realize the real value is that it helps you organize, it helps you identify, it helps you, be productive, which is against the Japanese thing because they're about technology. And my father will show him, who's a contractor, when people ask him why use German tools, why using a German drill, he says, I'm not buying the drill, I'm buying the holes. And the German Bosch drills were better. And even though he was a survivor, and when I presented this idea to the Japanese, I quoted my father and I said, we're not selling the machine, we're selling the labels. The same way Bosch wasn't selling drills, they were selling holes. That's why this idea will work, because people will identify with uses. The same
That's
way,
That's such a cool thing about how you used your dad's.
yeah. But I didn't say it in Yiddish because they were when the Japanese were the Axis powers with the Germans, so I didn't take chances. I said it in English, but that parallel. And then the commercial came. We had just moved to our house in Muncie, and we were labeling the fuse box and everything just came together with Siyata D'Shmaya, and that commercial was the result. So,
All right. So here we go.
go for the video.
I am now putting it on. 1 minute. I am going to. Okay. Oh yeah. And this should work.
You see, I figured it was another tie. But when I open the box, I see this thing that looks like a baby typewriter. So I asked, what is it? She says it's a Brother P-Touch. She says it's a new electronic labeling system that makes adhesive labels in 5 sizes, 4 styles, and lots of colors. First I labeled file folders, computer disks, my videotape. I can't. You gotta help me with this problem. What problem?
Available at Grandin Toy, Radio Shack, Future Shop, The Office Place, Business Depot, and other fine stores.
All right.
So that version took out the lot.
1 minute. Let me get that off.
And we're back. So the last shot was a reaction shot from the guy on the psychiatrist's couch, which was edited out because they wanted to put more store names. Also, the guy who played the psychologist, he grew up davening in Bethel and Borough Park.
Really? What was his name?
I totally forgot. That's all I remember about him.
That is unbelievable.
And that, by the way, that commercial, my son Ellie was born 4 o'clock in the morning. I was on the set to shoot that 7 o'clock in the morning at National Sound. I went literally from and in the delivery room, I kept asking the doctor how much longer. And he says, what, you got to be somewhere? And I go, yeah, kind of.
And there was no chance of you canceling that.
It was like 30 people. There's 30 people show up, and this was my, October, it was October. That's why I remember the day, October 30th.
Oh, look who just joined us. Shmuel Ramras joins us and says,
Oh,
Wolfman didn't walk on all 4?
He's a bass player. He brings in the 4 count right away.
Yeah.
Peter Schmiel, what's Herzog?
Uh,
That translation into English, Peter means Uncle Schmiel, what's new?
that's right. Now,
Oh, by the way, I speak a fluent Yiddish because there's a big need for that right now.
there is in certain circles there are.
I
There's a
was
big
actually
need.
interviewed in Kolam Wasser, this Hasidic Yiddish online dial-in thing, for an hour on advertising in Yiddish.
So you know that Shmuel says he's doing great. Baruch Hashem. Okay.
I thought it was Bill Haley, the BH. Okay, good, thanks.
Bill. So, we haven't even talked about the kosher police because the kosher police,
Oh.
you wrote the script for the kosher
You
police.
came to me with an idea. The movie Dragnet just had come out. I was in Alan Zweig-Bell took and Dan Aykroyd created that character, and I loved the dryness and how they made the Jack Webb thing the way they did. And you came to me at that time, and you, like a lot of other people, just trusted the idea, and it was a fun album.
It really was.
I'm telling you, Lenny, a lot of my Baruch Hashem, whatever I've been doing in life, is because people way better than me just for some reason trust me. So
No, listen. Part of and as a musician, and I always say, I like playing with people where I'm the weakest link, because if you're the weakest link, you know that at least you have a basic knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, and you learn, and in the process, you try and absorb, and you play it forward. That P-Touch commercial, if I look at later stuff, and I still see stuff like other commercials I did that picked up little chochmas, like in camera, all from that thing.
Right.
Even the Pesach stuff, that a lot of the stuff we, watching you do the shows, for Point Pesach and all that. When I started doing the homework stuff, your interactions with the audience, I used to MC shows there. I picked up, I was a little more acerbic than you. You don't have any.
I don't rank the audience.
Like people gave me a hard time. I would say, I don't bother you when you're working. I don't go to the toll booth and say, hey, how's things going?
Yes.
You wouldn't do stuff like that.
No. No.
I'm stupid.
No. You're not stupid. It's a different type of humor. That's all. It's a different type of
humor.
Right.
It's like you say that to people bigger than you because you don't.
So what I wanted to ask you about your interaction with the 4 rhythmic Steve Bill, Rick Cutler, Harry Max, and Yaron Gershovsky. How many albums did you?
Okay. Oh, wait. So I'll take it this way. Yaron, I got him an endorsement deal for Brother. Brother came out with a MIDI sequencer, and in anything in music, especially when you were coming in from the outside, the way Brother was, it's like today it's called influencers. Then it was called endorsers. And I said I have a good friend who's the music director of Manhattan Transfer. He's won Grammys. He's played with Wayne Shorter. He's very well regarded, and if he's an endorser for this MIDI sequencer, it'll put us on the map as opposed to. And we got him. We launched it at the NAMM show. Paul Schaefer came over to say hello. Will Lee came. The guys who were coming over to say hello to Yaron and put us on the map.
Put you guys on the map.
Yeah. As opposed to starting off like chasing our tail, that put us on the map. Brother got out of the business for a lot of reasons, but because you have to always be growing from it, and they got into it sort of like because they had disk drives, they didn't see it going, and even though they make a keyboard in Japan, but it got us on the map a lot quicker than was projected.
What was very interesting is that those 4 guys that I named, for those of you out there that don't really know about the origins of the Jewish recording industry post Carlbach,
pre-Israel, post Carlbach,
right? Those 4 guys played over 200 albums.
Also, Rick Cutler is a world-class piano player. He did that P-Touch commercial music.
I did not know that.
And
he's one of the greatest studio drummers around.
But he's also on keyboard. When I first brought him in to meet with the director and the producer, and they're saying, "Look, we have Sam," and I said, "Trust me, he's not a layman." And we sat down, and he came back with the track. And Cliff Fagan, who directed it, turns to me and goes like, "This guy read my mind. Like I don't want to change anything."
Right. That's what and that's what Steve Bill would say when the four of them were working together. He said Yaron
They did that
Gershovsky and
whole
him.
Carlebach thing.
They did things like they were reading each other's minds.
Right, the whole Carlebach collection. When Shlomo came into Steve's studio, that nobody else could have pulled that off on that level of musicianship and that
Except
level
for those guys.
Yeah, Harry also, and Harry's also an amazing violinist. Everyone just knows him.
Right.
But
Right.
that Carlebach collection is the ultimate statement on who those guys. Because Shlomo didn't have charts, Shlomo didn't have arrangements. Shlomo was like from the gut, and
So
to
I
follow
would-
him as on that level, those are probably the only guys who could do it.
And I would tell our listeners out there, you have to. There's so much great Jewish music out there that you.
And then there's the stuff that comes out today.
Don't.
I'm sorry.
Don't do that. Because I agree with you. Of course, I agree with you. How could we not agree? We're the same age, and
By the way, tell Michael Roth it was probably Noel Pointer or Gregory Hines because I was at one of those shows.
Well, he hears you, so.
Okay, Michael, I know, but I just wanted to make sure he got the shout out.
Rick Cutler was playing piano.
Yeah.
Right.
Right,
Wow.
Rick played piano for Gregory Hines and also for Noel Pointer, who was a jazz violinist.
So, but the thing is that what I wanted to kind of make this point is that we grew up on Jewish music and English music too. I grew up on the Beatles, obviously, and Billy Joel.
Okay, you call it English music, you call it secular music.
Secular music, I guess, but I called it
English means the Beatles. They were from Britain.
Yeah, that's true. But I grew up on Ruach. I grew up on Jep, Kol
On
Salonica,
Pirche, on Baruch
Pirche,
stuff.
Toronto Boys,
Yeah.
London Boys, all those groups. And they
I
had
was
great
one of those idiots when London 3 came out with Koamar. I was one of the people waiting online at like A and L Svarm Store on 52nd Street or
To
First
buy it.
Key. Yeah,
Wow.
it was like an allocation.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Because the funny thing is that that is why we went into Jewish music. We went into Jewish music because that stuff inspired us.
And inspired us because everybody was singing it and dancing and
And the melodies were great. The
And they were
melodies were
simple.
great. The harmonies were great. The chords were great. And by the way, it's not about the Jewish music that's coming out today. The secular music that comes out today is very poor, in my opinion. But then again, who are we sounding like?
Well, Lenny, look, the world's changed. You're talking to a culture where everything is done in 10-second clips.
I know.
Long form is 2 minutes these days.
I know. I used to the last couple of years that I was playing camps. I started playing songs and do like a minute and a half of the song, and then switch to another
Yeah,
one.
I work on projects today, and I come in prepared because my background is shooting on film. Film is very expensive. You have to have every shot, every camera angle boxed out. Today we'll fix it in the mix. You don't come in as well thought out because you don't have to. I was on a budget. If I had 2 extra shots, somebody had to pay for it.
Oh man. So let me
Got
just.
a couple of good young looks, so that's what's important.
So we're already, of course, at 33 minutes. I just have to do a little bit of homework here. Everybody out there, this is show number 98, and we're already close to 98,000 views. We're averaging around 1,000 views a show. Everybody, if you're watching from Facebook, give us a thumbs up. Leave a comment. If you're watching from YouTube, either on the Shlock Rock channel or the Four Corners channel, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Hit the bell so you're notified every time we come out with something new because we do 3 shows a week. 3 shows a week. And
3 more reasons
also,
to be my hero.
And go to fourcornersproject.org, make a donation for the year because that keeps us going. Because as my friend said, I know you don't like saying this, but this is your livelihood, and now there really isn't. There really
Lenny,
isn't shows.
Okay, so I got the okay to let's just say support all 4 of the corners. I just like to give a shout out to 2 people, but we'll compensate for it. Is that okay?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, so somebody asked me how I got ready for the show. It's the middle of the day. I got stuff going on, so I had to chill a little. And this bottle of Moscato coffee liquor was full when I started.
Oh, no.
So you might say for lunch, I mixed this in one of those carnation instant breakfast, things. It's a lot better with this than with milk.
Yes.
And, it helped. Do I sound okay to you still?
You sound great.
By the way, just won an award. Wine Enthusiast named this one of the top new brands of 2020. They're one. the background story on this is not for now, but you're gonna start seeing a lot more of it outside the kosher market in Mitzvah this year. But a bottle of this helped me, helped a lot.
Wow.
And after the show, if anybody wants Irish whiskey before Pesach, you got this Classic over here. It's this new Irish whiskey. It's actually, remember my Don Q rum client from the agency days?
Yeah.
His kid's our age, and he's.
I had a T-shirt from that.
Right.
He gave me a T-shirt.
Right. So he's and this is like, you want to hear getting old? Funny? My son's a good Irish whiskey. My son's into bourbons and scotches, and he's a fan of both.
That skipped it skipped me. I'm into
no. You know something? I asked the publisher, one of these like wine magazines, at what price does wine start getting good? You know what he told me? He says, "You're the idiot that writes the labels that sells most people on it. Why are you asking me?" Most people drink the label. Good. Nobody wants to admit good is what I like. I don't believe anybody likes dry red wine. They have to develop a taste for it. You have to develop a taste for it. That's like saying
agree.
It's not good. So
and that's why I don't know why anybody would drink it.
Right.
Doesn't taste good.
Do I like Merlot? Yeah, but am I going to tell you I like it right away? No, I like Malaga better right away. But at least I'm honest. Lenny, I'm going back to what brings us here. Again, you're who I want to be if and when I ever grow up. But to me,
I haven't grown up.
Take your time. We're doing fine. The best thing I'll tell you is that when Ari and Shmuly's kids were dancing at Vacation Village, it was 2 years ago, right? 2 summers ago.
Right.
Again, they wanted to come. It wasn't like said, "Hey, we got a surprise for you." When they heard Shlock was that Gramps and Bubby were taking them to Shlock Rock, you want to go? It wasn't like we'll let you know. They were on board, even though it's like driving from Muncie to Vacation Village and then late night because it was Shlock Rock. This is generation 2.5. That anything I'm going to say that those pictures and those video clips of them dancing juxtaposed next to Ari and Shmuley dancing in the Point and Palm Springs and Squaw Peak.
Yeah.
And by the way, if anybody has a chance, this is Shlock Rock. This started the whole party. Well, actually,
learning is good.
Shot started it.
Right.
If you
hit me with your best shot. Yeah.
One of the person on the sound was a guy, Eric Gale, ERICGA. Look him up. You couldn't get a guy like him unless he wanted to work on the project. Anything I'm going to say, look up who Eric Gale is, and then the fact that he played guitar on this, that'll say more about what the Shlock Rock brand is, and I can do in another hour. How many Shlock Rock albums have you had to date already?
39. Album number 40. I'm actually working on...
Like Malachas, but none of them were Malacha to you.
Believe it or not, I'm working on 3 at the same time. Now, the 40th is a Hebrew. The 40th is supposed to be an all original English album, and the 42nd is an all original Hebrew album, and the 41st is a parody. It's Shlock Rock classic 70s and 80s of songs that I missed the first time around. So,
like the B side.
And I'm very excited about that. Very excited.
Like Shlock Rock, the flip side.
Yes, and what we have to do is we need to get funding for that. We need to get funding for all 3 of these albums to be able to do them. Okay,
whoever is out there, you owe it to the next generation to get this album out there. Okay, if you don't understand why, listen to the other 39 albums. I will tell you from experience. He's the guy from Shlock Rock. I grew up with that. When the couple of times I've been to I've been to Shmuley for Shabbos. He was in Bergenfield. I went to shul him. Oh, Shlock, it comes up. There's so many people that that have it as a part of their lives. To get this out there is you can do worse things.
Thank you very much.
You go with a 45 with the flip side.
I think what we're going to do is we should have a T-shirt that says, "Give to the Four Corners Project because you can do worse things."
Yeah, there's worse things to do with your money. Actually, with that line, show a bottle of single malt scotch, show a fancy car key ring, show like high-end audio stuff, and then give to the Four Corners because there's worse things you could do with your money.
Well, all I could say is that first thing is it's been great having you. I was so excited to get you on this show. You have no idea.
Well,
because
by the way, when you did that Amudim thing,
yes.
You went over very well. The feedback on You know, it was
Well, it was very
Lenny
funny.
Solomon, Shlock Rock, and once
The question that I was asked, which was about
who does your hair? No,
who is the Simcha man, right?
right.
And it was a very complicated question because Steve is Simcha Bill.
No, I wrote those questions.
But I know you did. So
Right.
the funny thing is that today I looked up at Art Raymond when he passed away. Art Raymond lived to be 91 years old, and he passed away in 2014 in Florida, of course, in Boynton Beach. And we
Do
grew
you remember
up.
what was it? WEBD was what number on the dial?
I know that. It was 1330.
Oh, forget it. I was going to say it would have been cool if it was like 98. He would, he would have lived to his dial to his
1330 or
1330,
12,
yeah.
1330 a.m. Yeah. So listen, it was great having you. We are going to
Right.
say until next time, Shloime.
We're going to see you once. Did you get your shot yet?
Yeah, of course. Israel, everybody is vaccinated. Pretty much.
Yeah, Yoni, my son Yoni, Mirit, and Dorlom, they live in Ramat Beit Shemesh Gimel. They had their shots weeks ago.
Yeah, they give us. We had it. First thing is I had Corona in September, October. But even after having Corona, they said take one shot. Just make sure it's 3 months after you've recovered. So it was 5 months.
Right. So we had the Johnson & Johnson. We just had the Yal and I got the Johnson & Johnson first day it was available.
Yeah.
Baruch Hashem, we're fine. I just feel more comfortable if it wasn't made by the people that make Mickey Mouse Band-Aids also, but that's just me.
Right.
It's a year of this. Let's hope by this summer.
I'd like things to get back to normal so we can come and do some shows.
Right. Any odds, sometime Nachum or forward?
I'm hoping. It is possible. It is possible.
Lenny, you just got to do a Corona song. I know you did one.
I did one already.
Right. Something would take off the mask or something.
Take off the mask. Now that's a great idea. All right, we'll get to work on it.
Leonard, Mitzvah Hashem, we should both be in your neck of the woods by the time we do this again.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Now
listen.
Have a chakusher v'sameach, even though we have one more night of it than you do. Ha 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 ha.
You bet. And I want to tell everybody out there, tomorrow night, show number 99, the Wayne Gretzky Show, we will be doing a Pesach Shlock Rock concert of all of the Pesach Shlock songs. So,
and tell the Rebbetzin we say hi.
Will do. And send regards to everybody.
I already did.
Everybody.
I said, Lenny.
And keep on schlocking, everybody. We will see you tomorrow
night.
night.
Stay sane. Mitzvah Hashem. Thanks, Lenny.
Take care.